Hello everyone, welcome to Adaptive Fashion Vids. Today we'll be learning how to taper pant legs. So this will be useful in taking wider leg pants and getting them a little bit slimmer in the bottom portion of the leg. So to start off, I'm taking pants that are the size that I want in the bottom, and I'm just marking it along the outside edges of the pants that I'm going to taper. So I start by lining them up on the inside seam because I'll be modifying the outside seam of the pant. The pants you will be modifying will need to be inside out to allow you to have access to the seam and be able to sew it without being seen. So after your pants are lined up on the top of the pants that you will be modifying, go ahead and take your sewing pins or sewing clips and pin or clip the material together. This will help hold the jeans together when you sew them. So I'm taking the pins and going all the way up to the top, and that'll just hold that in place. And then I'm going to mark the outside edge of the pants that I like, and I'll put that on the pants that I'll be modifying. So I'll have an edge to sew. So that'll show me the line where I need to make my stitches. And here you can see where the dash line is. I did make a dash line instead of a straight line just because it's a little bit easier and I can make the line straight when I'm sewing. And I'll do the same thing on this other side as well. So if you don't have a pair of pants that you like the leg opening for, this is another way to figure out how much material you will need to take off the edge of the pant. So here I'm going to use sewing pins to pin the excess material away from my skin, and that'll just hold the excess material and kind of mark where I will be sewing. But if you have reduced or absent sensation in the leg, I would recommend using sewing clips instead, just to prevent any kind of poking. I don't have sewing clips, unfortunately, so I will be using pinning today. And I'm going to pin all the way down and just adjust that as I go. I noticed there was some bunching there, so I just took the pin out and we'll readjust. So that's definitely something that you can continue to readjust your clips or pins just to get that good fit before you take it to the sewing machine. And even after you take it to the sewing machine, I'll show how you can take out the stitches if there's something that doesn't quite fit how you want it to. So here I'm just continuing to pin all the way down, and I'm really holding the jean in place as I do this, just so I don't have any kind of bunching and I can tell where I'm going with the pins. I found that to be helpful instead of just focusing on one area, just kind of smoothing out the seam as I go. And I'm just pinning this all the way down so I can get a good idea of where I will be stitching. After you've marked your pant legs in either way shown, take this pant to the sewing machine and still keep it inside out, and that will allow you to take the stitch and then turn it back right side out, and you won't be able to see the stitch as much. So I'm taking this and starting sewing at the top, and I'm making that entry as gradual as possible so the angle will not make the pants pucker from the outside. So you want it to be as gradual as possible. And I'm really smoothing out this line as I sew it. I have it marked, but I'm kind of doing it as smoothly as possible, and I'll go all the way down to the bottom. And after you get that line sewn, here's what it will look like. And you can just go ahead and take out the pins. And here you can go ahead and try on your pants just to see if this is the taper that you would like. If you would like to take it in more, that's completely possible. If you want to let it out some, if it's too tight, you can take your seam ripper and go along that seam to take it out. This is completely not permanent, and you can have it adjusted at this point. So if you try on the pants and you really like them, You can go ahead and cut the excess material. Just make sure to stay away from the stitches as to not cut those. And this is just showing how it looks from the outside. So this looks like a regular seam, and you won't be able to really tell the difference unless you do come in at a pretty harsh angle up at the top. And if you notice, I really chose to take that top seam because the bottom seam is so visible that it would have been noticeable that it is a different seam. But if the seam is not to your liking, if it's too tight, you can go ahead and take that stitch out. I'm using my seam ripper here to just take a few stitches out just to make it a little bit easier. But I did find that coming in at the bottom part where the seam originated just would make it go a little bit faster. So I'm starting out by just taking a few stitches out, and then they start coming a little bit easier. And if you do try it on and you like it and you want to make it a little bit more secure, you can go over that seam again with the sewing machine to make it more secure. For more information about adaptive fashion and beauty products, please visit the resource page at unitedspinal.org. Thanks for watching.